How's it going, guys? Welcome back to a new video. In today's video, we are gonna be continuing with our hero guide series, and our hero focus today is Doc. And getting right into it, let's quickly go through his abilities. The first ability is a grenade launcher, and with this ability, Doc fires a rocket which deals a damage of 1455 within a range of 200. This rocket can destroy mobile shields and force fields with a direct hit, so that can be very important against heroes with a shield. The next ability here is the team healing. When the hero activates this ability, the hero loses 50% of their movement speed, but at the same time, they gain 72 health per second and also give the same health to allies around them. In addition, incoming damage is also reduced by 40% for all allies, and both of these effects are active within a range of 400. So all allies within this range will benefit from these effects. And at the same time, these effects last 9 seconds. And then we proceed to our third ability, which is Battle Scarred. And with this ability, the hero has 25% more health and armor, and their damage is increased by 20%. But on the other hand, on taking damage, the hero's weapon firing range and aimed firing range is increased by 60, and their primary weapon fire spread is reduced by 60%. The primary weapon aimed fire spread is also reduced by 65%. All these last for 2 seconds. So basically here, their spread for their weapon by default is reduced by 60%. That's before they aim. And then after they aim, that final weapon spread is reduced by 65%. And of course, their range is also increased greatly. So this is really important and can make a difference. And then for our next ability, we have a combat readiness. And for this ability, the hero gets a 40% increase in damage for allies, and also the allies' reloading speed is reduced by 70%. This works for allies within a range of 400 and lasts 3.5 seconds. And that brings us to the end of Doc's abilities. Let's proceed to a few tips and tricks which can be applied while using this hero. And the first tip here is endeavor to always have a rocket ready for you to use it in breaking a shield. A lot of times when you get attacked by heroes that have shields, your only way out is going to be firing a rocket at the shield. This really helps and will bail you out in a lot of situations, as you can see right now. And then for the second tip, team heal is very important for Doc, because Doc is a hero that is more useful as a support hero, which means he struggles to survive on his own, but thrives a lot when he has strong teammates that he can just support. For this reason, team healing is a very important part of his playstyle, and for this team healing to be at its maximum effectiveness, I would advise you to equip 4 personal gears. This is because without the 4 personal gears, you're only getting a damage reduction of 40%, and with the 4 personal gears, that reduction is increased by 20%, which brings it to almost 50%. And that's a big difference. And then our next tip here is, if you can, it helps to increase your maximum health using your gears, because as I've mentioned earlier, Doc's playstyle relies a lot on team healing for damage reduction. So if you combine having a very high health with also having a good damage reduction, this makes you survive for a very long time and makes it very hard for enemies to destroy you. You're actually going to find yourself being able to destroy enemies even with their shields, even if you don't break their shields with a rocket. Sometimes you'll be able to destroy them even when they have their shields. But obviously, I would always advise you to break the shield with a rocket if you can. And that brings us to our next tip, which is picking around corners. Now, Doc has a very good gun for picking around corners, and as we said earlier in all our previous hero guides, peeking around corners is a trick which works on all heroes. So definitely don't forget to apply that trick. And then our next tip here is you can always use your rockets to remove enemy armor to make your work easier. Especially if you're facing a hero like Bastion that has a huge amount of armor but not that much health. You can quickly wipe out his armor by firing at him 1 or 2 rockets, and that makes your work easier because once you start shooting at him, you're taking out the health directly and not the armor. You're not wasting time on taking out the armor. And our next tip here is always be ready and don't be afraid to use your rockets. You can keep firing them in the direction of enemies where you see the red icons on the map at the edge of the screen. You can fire your rockets in those directions. You have a chance of hitting enemies. Or you can fire your rockets in the direction of gunfire. Obviously, if there is no wall between you and that gunfire, your rockets will be able to hit the enemies. And I believe if those enemies are wounded, 1 rocket hit will always be enough to take out 1 or 2 enemies. Yeah, I guess that's it for the tips that you can apply with Doc. One final tip which I would give you is to obviously practice firing your rockets. The more matches you play, the better you'll get at choosing your rockets and the better your decision making will become. We proceed to the possible gearsets that I've tested out on Doc. And the first gearset we shall look at is a gearset for those that don't have personal gears. In this gearset, we have the Bionode Eye, which gives a 14% reduction in primary weapon bullet spread without aiming. It also gives a 10% increase in the movement speed when you're aimed. So not that you move faster, but you can move at a higher speed while your gun is aimed, which means you don't have to slow down so much for your gun to become aimed. That's the purpose of that gear. And then the Bionode Hat, which increases your armor penetration and piercing power, and not by percentage by the way. This is by a fixed value. And then we have a spiked shoulder, which increases your armor penetration by a percentage. This is not very useful, but I believe it's still useful because Doc's armor penetration by default is 45, and this spiked shoulder will make a difference to that if you consider the armor penetration that is getting from other gears. And then we have the runner's boots for a higher movement speed. We have the thug knuckles for more damage to health, and the scan flashlight for more health. This gear set was okay for me when we didn't have personal gears, and it's an okay gear set. And then the second gear set we have is another gear set without personal gears. In this set we have the Special Forces optics for less aiming time, so your cone of your gun becomes smaller faster. And then we have the reflex implant for less primary weapon spread. And then we have the spiked shoulder for more armor penetration. Then we have the bayonet leg for less aiming time and less primary weapon fire spread while moving. And then we have the thug knuckle for more damage to health. The Bionode Dread for less primary weapon aimed fire spread. So this gearset basically allows your gun to get aimed very fast, and even when it's aimed, the spread of your gun is very small, which means all your bullets are going to go into the enemy and you're not going to waste a lot of bullets. Notice on this set, the 2 set gears also increase your armor penetration by 2. And then in the third set here we have a set for maximum health, and this is also my current set. In this set we have the Survivor Mask for more vision and less primary weapon bullet spread without aiming. And then we have the Infantry Vest for more health. We have the Spiked Shoulder for more armor penetration. We have the Survivor Boots for more movement speed and less loudness. We have the Survivor Necklace for more health and higher movement speed while aimed. As we discussed earlier, this does not increase your movement speed, but it just allows you to be able to remain aimed without slowing down so much. And then you have the Survivor Rocket, which increases your armor penetration. Yeah, and that's it for this set. The 4 personal gears gives you a 20% increase in a damage reduction as we discussed, which brings the damage reduction to almost 50%. That is very helpful and it can keep you alive for a long time. And then for our final set here, we have a set which gives you as much vision as possible, and this allows you to be able to see a bigger part of the map and kind of makes your rockets more useful. And in this set we have the survivor mask for more vision and less primary weapon bullet spread without aiming. Then we have the bionode hat that gives you more armor penetration and piercing power. We have the spiked shoulder for more armor penetration. We have the survivor boots for more spread and less loudness. We have the third knuckle for more damage to health, and the echo radar for more vision. As I've said, this set increases your vision as much as possible and allows you to see a bigger part of the map. And that brings us to the end of the sets which you can use on dock, the ones that I've tried out. Definitely if you have some other tips and gearsets for dock, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And with that said, thanks for watching, stay tuned, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
Yeah, she wanna stay for a minute, she wanna play for a minute, she wanna slay for a minute.